So in today's session, what we'll do is I'll walk you through the platform. I'll walk you through two platforms, actually. The first one is the current available platform, and then in the last few minutes, I'll show you a sneak peek into our new platform, the terminal. A little background information about Toggle. Toggle is an investing co-pilot. It's powered by an AI system that's looking at every single financial indicator you can think of. And what it's doing is it's trying to highlight to you the financial indicators or the shifts in financial indicators that actually matter. It does this by backtesting every big move in a financial indicator identifies and shows you how an asset historically reacts to this. It's got decades worth of historical data on it, and there's no bias in the analysis whatsoever. It's purely showing you projections of future prices based on historical data. So that's really what the current legacy platform does. What we've done with the new platform is we've allowed it to ingest a lot more data. So not just looking at quantitative financial metrics, you're now looking at qualitative data, other types of quantitative data, and it's, again, generating insights for you. It also has a number of new AI assistants which can do different things. So, for example, they can pull up charts, they can read documents, they can screen a universe for an asset based on a criteria. So the new platform does have a lot more capabilities. So I'll show you that towards the end. Now I'll show you the current platform, which is available. The new platform, we are also aiming towards institutional investors, so money managers. Those come with the price tag to match that. But we will keep this current platform running, and we will likely also move some of those tools over to the current platform as well. Awesome. So with that, I will share my screen and let's get started on the Toggle tour. So the best place to access the website is from toggle.ai/login. Well, actually now you can go to toggle.ai because from toggle.ai now you'll see two buttons at the top right, terminal and toggle. So you want to go to toggle because that is that legacy platform and that'll take you into the platform. The first page you land on is the My Toggle page. As the name says, it's your toggle page where you get to keep up to date with research regarding holdings that you care about. You can set this up by connecting a brokerage portfolio, setting up a watch list, such that whenever you have any new research for that, it'll pop up on this screen like such. As this is a new insight today, it'll pop up at the top. What exactly is it highlighting for you here? This research is known as an insight. The system generates thousands of insights every single day by analyzing all these hundreds of financial metrics. Let's take an example. So if you go onto the Explore page, which is the insight screener, you'll see all the insights Toggle generates every day. It does this by observing these financial metrics, trying to find any big shifts in these financial metrics. You can think of that as a shift in a financial metrics that's different than how that financial metric typically behaves. Let's see one or greater standard deviation of a move. And then it'll try and see all the previous times in the past it's seen a similar move and understand if the price action typically tends to be pretty consistent thereafter. If it is, it runs a series of backtests on that. And if all of those tests pass the minimum criteria, it's generated as an insight on the platform. Toggle covers about 40,000 global assets. So the screener, as well as connecting a portfolio and watch list, helps to narrow down that bank of insights to the insights that you really care about. For example, here in the US, currently we are going through a bit of a bullish phase right now, right? The market's been whacked a bit from the highs it was at previously. So you might say, okay, Toggle help me find ideas regarding bullish stocks in the US, which are large caps. As you see, we have a number of filters here, other filters that you can use, but I've kept it pretty basic. So bullish, large cap, US stocks. And it pulls up all the bullish insights regarding US large cap stocks. And these are driven by different financial metrics. You can then filter that down as well. You can say, okay, which of these are oversold? So now we're narrowing that down to look at insights driven by financial metrics. And I'll highlight that for you. So it's a cool one, right? It's saying, okay, Broadcom it noticed was oversold and the past has led to an increase in price. what I'll do is I will also open up Broadcom's chart over here. I'll show you how to do all this in a sec. So the insight is split into 4 sections. You've got an overview that shows you all the higher level information you need to know. What was the insight driven by? How has the asset historically reacted to this? A little bit about that robustness testing. And then you've also got a price chart over here. So what's happening here? Toggle observed that entry point indicators for Broadcom are oversold. Historically, in the past 9 times it saw this happen, the asset typically bounced about 8% over the following 1 month. It also gives that visual representation over here, showing you the median likelihood as well as the other combinations. So potential for the price to rise higher, potential for the price to not rise as much. The more detailed section shows you how the insight was generated. So what were those specific entry point indicators which Toggle was looking at? It was looking at Broadcom's 1-month surprise move as well as a 1-month return to volatility. And notice that both these indicators saw a big move down. And in the past, as shown by the vertical orange lines, times when it saw this big move down, it saw the following price action. It also shows you the episode dates it looked at, and then the aggregated price action from all those episodes. And then selects over what horizon it's found the most attractive returns. And in this case, it selected 1 month because in a 1-month horizon, 83% of the time you saw an up move, and on median, that up move was around 8%. These are all the tests every insight is backtested against. At least 5 of these tests need to be achieved for the insight to be published as an article here. 6 were met in this case, so that's why you're seeing this here. It didn't, however, meet the top 2 conditions. One being more data, right? More data, more accuracy. In this case, we like to have at least 10 data points. And I think here we only had 9. Yes, 9 data points. You can kind of say, oh, okay, 9, 10, same. So you can say, okay, yeah, fine, this is achieved. We also had not seen this occur across different business cycles, right? So expansionary and recessionary periods in the US looks like mostly occurring in expansionary periods in the US, right? You don't see COVID, you don't see the financial crisis either. But again, you can then argue with that and say, okay, maybe we are kind of in well, we're not in a recessionary period yet, or maybe who knows, but we are also not 100% in an expansionary cycle, right? So you can kind of say, okay, fine, maybe that doesn't matter, right? So you see how I'm taking this research and I'm putting it into perspective. That's something that's super important that you should do with this research. Given it's all generated based on historical data, it's not a buy-sell signal. There's no guarantee of it working. It's really trying to just give you hindsight into what could happen and then allow you to take that information and put it into context. What it would, however, have highlighted for you here is a pretty popular stock with what's going on in the general space, right, of AI. Broadcom has seen a big move down, and historically it's seen a move up, right? You then go do some research, you see, okay, what's happening to the company? Is anything fundamentally changed? Has there been a big change in the AI space? You do these kind of checks, but what this really helps to tell you is that, okay, got a good entry point in a pretty good stock. That's what I would have gotten from this. And then for people who are really interested, you have all this research down here about how the asset could perform. At the bottom, you've also got the past performance, showing you how it historically performed on a cumulative as well as an individual basis. It gives you an idea of the tail returns you could catch. So that's what an insight looks like. And then if you hit this overview button where you search the asset at the top, you'll then come up to the asset overview page. And as you can see, that oversold insight did work, right? We got that 8% up move from August 9th to whatever this looks like today. So yeah, that's what these insights are great for, helping you catch these moves. On this page as well, you'll be able to see what are the other financial metrics that could be driving the price of the asset. You go to this tab, you'll see the stars. These mark the insights with a directional impact, as we looked at here. But then these other cards marked other insights, right? They may not have a directional impact, but Toggle still wants you to know that, hey, capitalization in the stock is high, PE is high, right? The price at a resistance level, low trading volume. And we hope that all this information together will help you to get a better idea of where this price could be headed next. Here you'll get news about about Broadcom. Insights, it'll pick up the most recent one, key values, and lastly, related asset. That's how you can kind of get a more overview of what could be happening with this asset and what could be driving its price. Quick pause to see if anybody has any questions. No questions, so let me show you something. Everything I've shown you so far comes with Toggle Copilot. That's the retail tier. It costs $10 a month, and it gives you access to the research generated by the system. Our next tier, Toggle Pro, which costs $100 a month, gives you access to not just research for global equities, but it also gives you research for currencies, commodities, futures, cryptos. You also get access to your own backtesting tool called Scenario. The Scenario tool allows you to create your own insights. For example, we've got a number of templates here, but let's say you wanted to know, okay, what could happen to Broadcom if, let's say, NVIDIA's price rises by 5% in one day. So with this tool allows you essentially to backtest whatever you'd like, test your hypothesis, right? View the distribution on a daily basis, look at the historical returns, the episodes, the respective returns, the risk return summary, as well as you get a scenario quality checklist. You can also layer these conditions in the case that you want to see how this stock reacts to NVIDIA price rising by 5% and NVIDIA PE above a certain level, or US 10 years above a certain level. Remember that with Pro, you get access to all 40,000 global assets. So you can do something like gold prices rising, right? If you switch over to the economic area here, you can put in a country, and then you've got a number of economic data you can also backtest against. So here's a cool one. You can say, okay, if the Fed were to hike interest rates, how could Broadcom react to that? And I'll show you how Broadcom has historically reacted to that event. So a lot of economic conditions, financial metrics, and events also you can backtest against. Okay, question. Is there documentation on how to build conditions? Yes, there is a user guide which I can send to you, Jason. If you just put your email in the chat, I can send you over that user guide, which is helpful. And can we build conditions based on factors such as ATM, IV? I'm guessing ATM, IV is implied volatility, and yes, at the money implied volatility. Yeah, so we have a few volatility snakes which you can use. There's realized volatility, and then there's return to volatility. Okay, so we don't have implied volatility, but we do have realized volatility. There's also the VIX in here, which you can play around with. So yeah, not much on the volatility side, but yes, there is a few. A quick way to see what are all the indicators available for an individual asset is to pull up the asset, go to the left side, go to chart, and then when you're in chart, hit the price at the bottom top, and you'll get a drop down. Oh, we do. Interesting. Okay, so it wasn't volatility, it was vol. So 1 month implied vol. You've got those metrics right here. So this is where you get a full drop down of all the indicators available, and you can backtest any of these indicators against the asset. Different assets have different coverage, but typically for US stocks, the financial metrics coverage is quite a bit. So I would check that out first, check out the chart first, and then use whatever you'd like to backtest in scenario. Cool. So that is really the legacy platform in a nutshell. I've just shown you one use case, but there's so much to do, right? Walmart beat earnings today, right? So you can say, okay, how does Walmart stock typically react after it beats earnings, but 10-year yields are at X%, right? Kind of put assets into scenarios and see how they've historically react to that. I think it's quite awesome. What I'm going to show you now, though, is even cooler. All right, so let's hop into the terminal. As mentioned, the terminal is currently in beta, so not yet available to the public. But if you subscribe to our daily brief, you'll be the first to know when it's live. I did say we are aiming towards institutional investors, but if you are a big time individual investor and you see yourself paying for a tool like this, there will be direct licenses available as well. So how does the terminal work? Unlike the legacy platform, which I felt was like just one AI machine with one focus, this platform has a number of AI machines. We call them AI assistants, each with their own purpose. They're all powered by a large language model, which you can use to control them. And then they're also powered by a knowledge graph. So the knowledge graph is a self-learning web of information. What it does is it helps connect nodes across the world to each other, nodes of information. For example, it can connect American Airlines to, I don't know, let's say a metal company because American Airlines buys steel from this company to build its wings, right? But this is information that it's able to understand by reading research reports, news, company filings to generate this information. What's cool is that it also ingests news to update this information. So, for example, Apple used to be part of the electric vehicle space, right? And then suddenly they decided to ditch their EV project. So by reading the news, the system is say, okay, Apple is no longer part of the electric vehicles, so that now I can disregard it, right? So if ever the user asks something about electric vehicles, I'm not going to pull up Apple anymore, right? So what's really cool about this knowledge graph is that there's lots going on in the background. So like while you might see an individual asset, it sees all the nodes and entities and assets and themes, countries as well that that asset could have exposure to. So all that information together helps to power the AI assistants. For example, you come into the platform, and you ask a question. You want to plot NVIDIA's competitors since the release of GPT-4. And you see, okay, which of these stocks have performed the best? What I've done here is I've asked it to do something. In the background, we have a number of AI agents who are all reading this question, trying to understand, can they answer it? And then the chart assistant in this case says, okay, I got this. And the chart assistant comes up, plots our chart for us. It's gone and selected AMD, Intel as NVIDIA's competitors. It's gone, found out the date of GPT-4 and put that information together for us within a few seconds, as you've seen. Right now, how you currently would do this is you'd go find, okay, what's NVIDIA's comp set, right? Then you go find, okay, what's the date of GPT-4? Then you individually load each of those time series on, and then you shift your graph, right? That would take you a minute. This took us a few seconds, right? So with a tool like this, you're a lot more productive. You can do a lot more things. Back to that Walmart example, right? Walmart beat earnings today, and you want to know how do retail stocks perform typically after that. You can say, what happens to big box retailers when Walmart beats earnings expectations? I'm not sure exactly how much they beat by, but you can add that too. You can say when they beat earnings expectation by 10 cents or revenue expectations by 20%, for example. But what we're doing here now is we're hoping scenario agent, our scenario agent is another AI agent that can take what you're talking about, build it into code, send it to the system, get the output, and then feed it back to you, right? And says, okay, it hasn't pulled up the right asset for us, but it went and it built the EPS surprise difference, meaning it's beat earnings expectation, and it's saying big loss. Okay, it seems like a stock. Let's try another thing. what happens to supermarket stocks when Walmart beats earnings expectations. Right, so one of the caveats of working with large language models is that you have to be very specific about what you're asking. And we're also working to add UI in here so that you can tweak stuff, right? So like imagine you got this response and you didn't want this as your um, independent variable, or sorry, your independent variable. You can then say, okay, edit, change it this, right? But now I'm a little more um, specific, and I say supermarket stocks, and then it's gone out and picked out supermarket stocks for us and shown how they respond. And what is it showing us? Costco typically is a stock that does really well when Walmart beats earnings expectations. So you see Costco on a dip, maybe you might be picking it up. Something that's really cool, which I think is awesome, is that we have, I guess, a Chat GPT like agent in the system called um, the general knowledge base. And the general knowledge base can answer your questions if, for example, the system does not have an answer for it, right? So you can ask a question like, how were Walmart earnings this morning? And what it's doing is it's going through firstly news. It always goes through news first, all the news articles that we feed it. And then it says, okay, if I can't find what I'm finding in the news, then I'll go check my limited knowledge base, right? But it did have a news article where Walmart earnings were there and it's gone and quoted that for us, showing us how it's performed. So it's I guess like a chat GPT like assistant, but with a tailored input set. Okay, question from Jason. So no, this is not part of Pro subscription. This is actually going to be a completely different subscription. We've not started selling these just yet because again, we're still collecting feedback and we have users beta testing it right now. But yes, this will be a completely different subscription. When will it be available? Good question. We're hoping by the end of the year. We have kind of a wait list going on right now with a lot of institutional investors, but I would think we would start selling or making it available to subscribe to the public by the end of the year. Yeah. So these are how your AI agents work. There's a lot of other cool stuff that you can do, which I will show you now in the last few minutes. Let's look up something like Meta. Actually, let's stick with Walmart. We'll see how well the system is done with Walmart. So you pull up Walmart, you'll get your price chart, you'll get your key values about Walmart. Here's the information that's coming from the knowledge graph, showing you the themes that it has exposure to, the brands, the countries, the competitors it has exposure to. And this is all information which it gets from um, research reports, news, filings, these kind of things, right? So you go to knowledge graph, and then you even get your justification for why the system has selected each of those nodes. And as I showed you before, helps you to power the other agents, right? I didn't show you the screening agent. You've also got a screening tool here, but with that screening tool, you can use this information to pull up assets. I'll try to squeeze that in a second or two. So let's head over to earnings, right? Walmart reported earnings today, right? You've got that Q2 2025. You've got the result. You kind of can do like a scenario-like thing with the earnings here. So you can say, okay, they've beaten earnings expectations. How do they typically respond to that? Okay, they've beaten earnings expectations, but they've also, beaten revenue expectations, right? We'll reset that. And we'll say, okay, what about when they've beaten earnings expectations when interest rates are being cut, right? So during a cutting cycle, if Walmart beats earnings expectations, how does it typically react? And then you get your boom, your result. You've also got all the documents here. So, okay, so we haven't gotten their documents just yet, but for their first quarter documents, we've got the transcript, the presentation, and the 10Q. And then you can use one of the AI assistants called the document assistant to ask questions about the document. So you've got the earnings transcript, and you can say, what did Walmart, let's say, did Walmart mention any potential risks in the coming year in the earnings call? It's going to look through the earnings transcript and say, okay, can it find any mention of potential risks? Okay, so it says, okay, it did not mention any potential risks, but it says, okay, this is what it actually focused on. Then maybe you want to ask that question in the filing, right? You can ask that question, or you could say, how did their grocery segment do, or electronics, right? So you're now actually able to kind of like talk to documents. It's quite cool. And then on the earnings, you've got that feature here as well. So that assistant here. And now lastly, I want to show you that screener. So we've also built a screener, which allows you to screen for assets using that knowledge graph content, right? So if you're someone who's in the US looking for stocks with exposure to, let's say, genomic medicine, yeah, but also has exposure to the United Kingdom, right? You're allowed to then you can go filter for that very quickly. You can use financial metrics at the top. One of the things that I really like is we've got these event sets at the top. So you can say, for example, US stocks with exposure to genomic medicine, where there recently has been a sale of stock. And it'll show you, okay, which of the people in the company have been selling stocks recently, or where there have been insider sales, or where there's been an IPO. We're adding a lot more of these events now, but we're hoping to make this a really smart screener so you can find ideas really quickly. And then through the AI agent in the chat, you can also just say, give me stocks where blah, 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 write out your criteria and it'll pull up the asset for you. You've got the leading indicators, you've got your insights, which we've shown, you've got multiple watch lists here, which are really cool. And for anyone who's a money manager, you've even got a summarization tool. So you no longer have to write emails to your clients about how the portfolio is performing. Just load up the portfolio, hit the summarize, and then let the agent write the summary for you. Give it a sec. Boom. Cool. And that is Toggle in 30 minutes. So yeah, I mean, that's really all for me. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, reach out at support@toggle.ai with any questions, feedback as well. We love hearing feedback, or if you just want to chat as well. Awesome. Cool, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy trading. It's going to be fun in the markets, I think in the next few weeks. So definitely use Toggle and check out our daily brief as well. All right. See you guys. Take care.